The things I do for my VV fam. Yo, what's going on, my VV OGs, my Omi homies, and everybody else on YouTube? It's your bromy, the Gale, back at it again with a VV Clubhouse special video. So, if you didn't know, Clubhouse is a discussion type situation where people can talk and ask questions. And in VV's case, we have one weekly, and we are blessed enough to have the team come speak to us directly. So people of the VV community can just ask any question they want to team members. And yeah, that's what happened yesterday. So yesterday's Clubhouse was a very special one. It was a lot of gems and information in that one. So I figured I would break it down, so to speak. You know, the Gale sat and listened to this Clubhouse, which was like 2 hours and 50 minutes at speeds that only a genius level like myself could handle, and I specially curated it so that only the best of the best questions were in this video. So basically I shortened the video to from an hour and 50 minutes worth, so now it's only like an hour long. So yeah, if you want to watch it and learn, this is like an investor's dream, the questions that are answered in this Clubhouse. So feel free to turn up the speed to like 1.5x to get through it quicker if you so desire. But without further ado, we're just going to get into it because it's a long video.
So there have been people who have been kind of searching through the Comic-Con schedules, trying to find any kind of relation to Veve Ecomi. There have been people who have literally emailed the Comic-Con customer support asking about this, and someone forwarded me an email saying, hey, the Comic-Con customer support say they have no recollection of Veve or Ecomi being signed up. So they started freaking out. Obviously, I assume there's some logical reasoning, some kind of surprise, something that, we can expect to see later on since Comic-Con's next week. So question is, could you maybe clarify on, I guess, what's the situation with Comic-Con, just for these people who are kind of freaking out?
We do love a good conspiracy theory. I will throw that out there. There's definitely some information coming. I don't know if I can share that or not. I don't think so at this point. Maybe, Alex, if you're listening, maybe you just have an update as to when people are expecting to hear something about Comic-Con?
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely part of it. We are not an exhibitor, so that's why you're not seeing our name on, the lineup, or that's why, apparently Comic-Con doesn't know that we're. They're probably looking at the exhibitor list, but yes, we're definitely part of it. We will definitely have our exclusives, where there are definitely some cool things coming. So yeah, please don't freak out and worry your pretty little heads too much about it. I think there is, we were just trying to get some ducks in a row, if you will, with some announcements. And, with licensors, you always kind of have the back and forth of when we're ready to announce certain things. And this one, unfortunately, is coming down a little bit to the wire. But I would expect some news on our involvement in the next couple days.
Do you think that'll quell the storm, Kay?
Well, I hope so. They'll probably come up with a new conspiracy theory tomorrow. But yeah, I think this will be enough.
Yeah. It's I think what we're doing is way better than being an exhibitor, to be honest, especially for a virtual event. I guess that's. I think Comic-Con at home happened last year too. I don't think it was, obviously we're in the middle of the pandemic and all of that. I don't know if anyone here went to it or checked it out. But we've definitely made our choices based more around the fact that it is a virtual event and what we think will have the biggest impact in that kind of environment. So
yeah, I did actually have a look at some of the exhibitors, and I noticed on the DC panel quite a lot of the artists that are already on Veve are there. Becky Cloonan, what's his name? The guy who did the Greg Capullo, the Batman Who Laughs one. Todd McFarlane. I don't know if you guys can say or not, but could there be something related to them that we could expect?
No, I think those panels are designed to be more around the brand itself. If it's a DC panel, then it will be them talking DC, I would imagine. Whether our name comes up or not, will remain to be seen. But I think that whatever you're seeing for the exhibitors or the panelists, it will be in relation to what that panel is supposed to be, as opposed to us like doing a surprise entrance or anything on there.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Just with the move to Immutable X, as soon as that happens, does that mean from that point on we can take the digital collectibles and put them in our digital wallets and that?
No, not straight away. No, the move enables it, and, but there's obviously like once we actually migrate the whole platform, get everybody to move their tokens across, all that kind of stuff, and then the devs can start to bring the walls down, for lack of a better term. But it will still be up to the licensors themselves as to whether they let you or let us send their IP out of the app. Now we know that there's quite a number of licensors that are keen to do it as early as possible. So once it's enabled, I think some of them will let it happen, but it won't be like, we migrate on Monday and by Tuesday you can send your stuff out. It will still come down to that kind of thing. There's also a lot of contract work that has to be done and really contracts to be established with the companies as to how that all kind of works, where it can be used, all of that kind of thing. So it will still be a work in progress, but we'll be one big step closer to it happening.
Okay, cool. So with that, do you have obviously I don't want to hold you to any timelines because we know how out of proportion that can be blown up to, but is there any sort of rough figure as to how long that'll take? And also with that, if the licensors don't allow it, would that mean they can't go to OpenSea and stuff like that, eh?
Correct. Yeah, if the licensors don't allow it, then it stays within the app. The beauty of that being that, we already have probably one of the biggest user bases in the space. You have a marketplace. Soon you'll be able to sell your, cash your gems back out into fiat anyway. And obviously you don't get the full experience of those collectibles unless it's within the Veve app. So even though, obviously part of the value proposition of NFTs is that you can control your own keys, put them in your own wallets, that kind of thing. I'm personally of the belief that, I think people will send them out and then just end up sending them back in again. You don't have to worry about the security at that point. If you can cash in and out of gems and fiat or transact in Omi, we kind of have that encompassing ecosystem anyway. So there's going to be a lot of options there, even if you can't send specific collectibles out. So yeah, that's what that'll mean basically. Now, in terms of timeline, I know that it's in development. As far as I know, it's actually going quite well. The original mapping Michael gave us was around 6 to 8 weeks, and it's been, I think, 4 weeks now. So yeah, I think we're going to see it. We should start to see that migration take place in the next 4 weeks or something like that. And I guess it will be a progressive thing for most of the ecosystem. The token swap will need to be open for 12 months or more, just so people have plenty of time to move their tokens across, that kind of thing. But it's, that's number one priority. That has to happen before we can really do anything else. So it's definitely in the works.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man. And I completely agree. I think at the end of the day, the app is where you're going to get the most use out of the collectibles. So no, that's all good.
Look, I just think even when you can send things out, I think all that's going to do is bring more people back to Veve. So really that's beneficial for everybody. But it's more beneficial for you as an individual and the ecosystem to be using the app. So we definitely want to try and continue to build in value propositions and value drivers there so people come back to the app rather than trying to leverage OpenSea or whatever it is.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got to there.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions about the move to Immutable X. The first question is, when we move from the Go chain to Immutable X, will all the collectible metadata carry over, like chain of custody, the price sold history, and details like that?
Yeah. So all of that, I don't even know if you can see the price sold stuff on your end at the moment. But
not anymore, yeah.
Yeah. So we can in our back end. So the devs have been rebuilding a new system to give you way more of that information. Previous owners, track all that stuff, previous prices, average out say the last 10 that were sold of that collectible and give you an appraisal value as well, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all of that will make the move, and then they'll do whatever devs do to make that happen as well.
Are we expecting something like that before the move to Immutable X, like all that market analysis information?
No. I think Dan said we might re-enable the price you bought it at, because that was a feature. He said in last week's AMA we probably removed that a little prematurely. But the move to Immutable is definitely the first thing to happen, and then we can kind of build in those features as well. So you've got a lot more information and a lot more transparency with your collectibles.
And then the related question is, when we do move to Immutable X, and when we're allowed to take it off the app, what kind of like information are we going to see for the NFT? Is it just going to be like a basic 2D image with fairly basic information, or is it any art going to come alongside with that?
Yeah, I mean, I won't know the specifics until it's happening, but obviously you won't get you won't be able to drop it in AR, do the full 3D things that you can do in the Veve app, as it's designed for that. My understanding or impression is that it will be like a card, I guess, like some representation of the NFT. When it's in the Veve app, you can use it as you can use it now. When it's out of the Veve app, it really depends on where it's going and what kind of technology they can support as to what you can do with it. But I imagine that it's not going to have anything on what you can do with Veve.
And then my next semi-related question is, are we still on track to see the MTL before the move to Immutable X?
Yeah, I'll chase that up actually. Yeah, I think we are. Yeah. I think that because they're kind of running as separate systems, that's something we can integrate beforehand. Obviously, there's always things that come up that we need to do this week. Obviously, we implemented the capture and redesigned the drop day system, right? And so things like that can throw the schedule out by a week or two, but it's definitely happening behind the scenes. Yeah. So the first, just to bring everyone up to speed, that first stage of MTL will be enabling you to cash your gems back to fiat. So you'll be able to kind of seamlessly move in and out of the app or extract value. Now that will require there's KYC. We do it through an MTL, for anyone who doesn't know, is a money transmitter license. So we integrate a third-party MTL. They handle all the KYC and that kind of stuff, your bank details, wherever your payments are going to or from. So yeah, that will be the first stage, and yeah, I think that's still on track. I'll put that on my list to chase Dan up about actually.
Awesome, and I do have a couple other questions, but I want to make sure I give the opportunity for other people to ask questions. So I'll jump back to the back of the line.
You may as well ask them while you're here, mate. We've got plenty of time. Ask them while you're...
Yeah, I have a couple. So, I guess for the new people, can you clarify what the first 40 minutes is reserved for? I understand the extra 50 is randomized for giveaways and promos, but what is the first 40 minutes reserved for?
Yep. So the first 40 have always been held by the company. All the number ones are going into a big Veve showroom, which I think we'll probably see in the VeveVerse whenever that comes out. The vast majority of the rest of them go to the licensors. That's part of the deal, part of the contract requests. They want some for themselves, obviously, as memorabilia. Some they can do for promotions and giveaways. If it's specific artist work, some of they give some of those to the artists, that kind of thing too. So that's just always been part of the contractual obligations that we have to the licensors.
Okay, awesome. The next question is: we know the web platform is coming soon. I think you already said this in a previous AMA. I just want to re-clarify it. With this web platform, you cannot buy from the drop, correct?
Sorry, you just cut out there. Did you say you cannot buy from the drop, or you can?
That's correct. So when the web platform launches, people cannot use that to buy from the drop.
Incorrect. The web platform, the first version of it's pretty much the app. It's what you see in the app, except enabled for a web browser. So you'll be able to perform all of the same functions in the app, outside of augmented reality, obviously, unless you've got some tethered headset or whatever. But no, that's designed. Once that launches, we really get to open our audience up, because right now, if you don't have a phone that can run Veve, you don't have access to the app. So that really helps us open up to a wider audience, and then from there we build out the rest of the web features and things too.
is it going to be thoroughly audited so like bots won't be able to get on there? Because once we hit the Windows or desktop platform, it opens the doors for like actual bots to come in.
Yeah. Like I think it's important for people to know that we work with the top security firms in the world on these kind of things, right? So like, not just the captcha, all of our security measures already cut out emulators and bots. Anyone who gets caught loses their account and their collectibles, all of those things. So everything we do and build in is built in a way that cuts those things out.
Awesome. Another question is about licensing. So let's say we have Mattel, or you guys have Mattel, and then Mattel also makes a lot of different toys for different manufacturers. So let's say Mattel makes wrestling toys, WWE toys. So in order to Veve to get that license for that toy, does Veve have to have the Mattel and the WWE license?
Yes. Licensing, and this is in no way confirmation that we have Mattel, but licensing is a pain in the bum. It's so layered, right? So, for example, the hoverboard, the Marty hoverboard, that was such a big deal because that hoverboard was the first time ever that it's been sold with the Mattel logo on it. And that's because you needed licensing approval, obviously, for the Back to the Future license, which is Universal or whatever studio it is, plus the Mattel approval for that. So, yeah, anywhere you see like multiple brands or multiple integrations, you need licensing approval from every single piece of that puzzle before you can launch that product.
Awesome.
To get them done.
A lot of people want to know what time system is the Veve server synced to? Because, like, for example, for sure it's not synced to time.gov. Is there like a system or time server that's it's linked to?
Yeah, it's linked to something, but we're not going to give that out. Otherwise, it gives people an advantage if they know where it's linked and what they can do.
Okay. Does the FA tag on collectibles apply only to the Veve platform, or does it have a wider reach for that? For example, is it supposed to represent the first time it's on Veve, or is it the first time it's on digital format in general?
This is the first time they're in digital format ever. We're the only ones with these licenses. So, don't get me wrong, I can paint a Batman and sell it and say that it's first appearance, but it's not an officially licensed product. It's not from the actual brand, right? That's a personal thing. So the FA tag is the first appearance of these characters ever in history in premium digital format.
One question about the gaming. I was digging around about the Ecomi company, and then I saw something about what was Pixian brand, maybe Pixian Gaming, and then I reached them about the Veve. I asked them, "Are you guys gonna make some NFT gaming or something?" They didn't give me some information about that, but I saw them they're partnered with Ecomi, and I really wonder, will we?
I just lost your microphone there, but that's fine. Pixion, is it Campudia, Pixion, and I've forgotten his name, but Big Red Button Games, Jeff Lander, Big Red Button. When we really started this project 4 years ago now, David and Dan, they're probably two of the most forward-thinking people I've ever met, and they really laid out this vision, especially with Al, to kind of determine the next layers and where the direction this was going to go. And then they accessed, a whole team of really incredible advisors to help to guide that vision. And two of those advisors happen to be, the owners of these gaming companies. Now, as to what their involvement is, as to what sort of partnership, I don't have the details. I don't think we'll release them. I don't think they'll release them unless it becomes an official sort of partnership. So, probably don't hassle them. I'm sure they've got a lot to do, but just I take solace in the fact knowing that we have people like that on board, or at least as part of Dan and Dave's network, that can really help to guide our decisions as we move further into that space.
Thank you very much. And one more question: when Pokemon?
You know what? It's been a few weeks since someone asked me that. So I'll allow it.
Is there an idea of how many drops we can expect for Comic-Con?
Can't really leak information, but I guess I can say multiple. There'll be more than one brand. as to what drops within those brands. We'll just have to wait till next week to find out.
Okay, and so Comic-Con is
Oh, you just dropped out there, mate. I got Comic-Con is a and then something. We might have lost Josh. We'll come back to you again, mate. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to invite a few more people up.
Yeah, Reese, you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, shoot, mate.
Hey, did you hear me there, Reese?
Oh, yep. Sorry, Dizzy, hold up. We'll go back to Josh and then we'll come to you, Diz. Yeah, go for it, mate.
Sorry about that. So is it multiple throughout the 3 days, or are you only going to have 1 day with multiple drops at one day?
Multiple throughout the 3 days. Yeah, there'll be drops across the whole weekend, and all of this will become a lot clearer probably on Monday as we start to roll out more information pertaining to sort of what's coming. But no, there's multiple brands, multiple drops across the days, and I think all of them will have the Comic-Con exclusive tag, right? So similar to the first appearance or the first edition, this will be the first iteration of Comic-Con exclusive that we'll see. That will only sort of be available throughout the event, or the drops will take place throughout the event.
All right, and then just one last question referring to that. How much of an advance will you be giving us before the drop? Is it something we need to be watching Twitter constantly, like a 5 minutes before, or will we know the day before?
You'll know.
You have plenty of notice. Yeah, plenty of notice.
Yeah,
excellent.
perfect.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Alex, I don't know if I don't think we can really reveal much more than that, can we, about the drops at this point?
No, not yet. Soon come, though. Soon come.
Hashtag soon.
Just do me a favor. Blink twice if it's going to be Marvel.
That's funny.
Yeah. We'll see.
Just adding on to that question about Comic-Con. Comic-Con is going to be across 3 days. Are the drops going to be across that duration, or is it all kind of concentrated on 1 day?
No, I think across each day there'll be something else is the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My question is, you said two things tonight that really excited me, basically implying that the MTL was coming soon, and that Gems to Fiat would be coming soon. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that process is going to roll out? Maybe not a timeline, but are we going to wake up one day with an update on the app and KYC will be required for sending gems and doing transactions? And will the MTL license require KYC for everybody to cash out, or will it become necessary for like gem transfers and model transfers as well?
My impression is that it'll just be to cash out, and it's something that you can opt into. So if you're a new user, it's not like when you first sign up to the app, you'll then have to register for KYC. I think that would be a bit of a barrier to entry for people who just wanted to take a look around. So I think it will be something in your profile or your settings, and you'll be able to toggle it on, and then you would go through the KYC process, and that will enable you to then be able to withdraw your gems or cash out that way.
I mean, maybe it's too technical, or maybe you couldn't share it if it is in development, but, something like an overlay, because some of these superheroes are like, some of our most favorite prized superheroes. Some of us have grown up with these, idols, I guess you could say. But if you is there any, anything in the pipeline that you could answer where basically they can overlay it over top of you, and then you could actually, through AR play as your superhero?
Yeah, I have seen this kind of moving around. I don't know if anyone's seen Artifact, RTFKT, whatever the abbreviation is. But I've seen some early fashion NFTs where, you can see people in AR wearing their kind of things. Now, whether we develop something like that, I'm not entirely sure. I think the first iteration of something like that would maybe be, being able to use your collectibles as your avatar in the VeVeVerse or something like that, right? So we want to build utility into your collectibles first. But we've definitely discussed adding a augmented reality overlay of the VeVeVerse in the real world. Now, I don't know what that takes from a technological standpoint, But I guess if you could look at your house, your real house, and it looked like your showroom in the VeVeVerse or something, at that point, I don't see why we couldn't create a way for you to wear like a Superman cape or something like that. But again, any use of the licensor's IP has to be approved by them. So I guess it would come down to that kind of that approval and also that level of fan engagement. Now, I think that these brands are very interested in trying to find new ways to engage with their fans and collectors. So if that becomes a reasonable technological advancement, then yeah, it's a possibility. But it's definitely not in the short-term time horizon.
Okay. I was just curious. There's just a question I had on the top of my mind. And then second question is basically, you kind of just answered it, but in your, it's kind of like a geolocation kind of thing. But, if I put a VeVeVerse picture up on my wall, or if I put Batman in the corner or Superman in the left corner, is there anything that you guys would want to do or in the works of doing where basically I can just turn on my app? I don't have to place it there anymore. The app knows that my picture of Ultraman, picture frame's already up on the wall, so I can kind of just scan the room and show my buddies and show my family, like, hey, look, I'm Superman and Batman is already sitting there.
Yeah. So that's why augmented reality technology is becoming so exciting, right? There's two things. Most new phones now, or they will continue to develop, are starting to integrate LiDAR technology, which is the same thing that self-driving cars use. And basically that enables your device to create a 3D map of the room, right? It can detect where your furniture is, where your TV is, all those kind of things. So that lets you, not right now, but eventually lets you pin your collectibles essentially to certain locations, right? So that you could do exactly that. Open the app and they're already there. Now, the next iteration of that is wearable technology. So I think Apple will probably be the first to come out with consumer-friendly AR glasses. But if we're all wearing AR glasses and you can walk into a room and it's, your room has already been 3D mapped by your device or the glasses, well, then you enter this realm where you really do have a physical space that has digital content, permanently there, right? So I think the future vision of that kind of technology is like, we might not have TVs anymore or screens. You would pin your Netflix app to the wall, and that's how you would watch TV. Or you'd walk in and you would see people's AR shelving with their Labbits and their, your Superman in the corner and that kind of thing. And I think we discussed this briefly last week or the week before. All of this technology kind of feeds into our demographics and the evolvement of our cities at the moment, where apartments are getting smaller, people actually have less space to live in, so you have less room for physical goods. So it's really driving the digital product narrative, as well as starting to see that direct the development of the technology when it comes to augmented reality. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we really are headed for a wearable future, and a future where we have this digital overlay in our physical reality, and in that space you want premium digital content, and we're the guys that make the premium digital content.
Now that you guys announced Marvel, any of the Ultraman 2D prints, do those have the chance of eventually becoming into a readable comic? And also, will they ever get the Marvel logo on the cover?
So the 2D prints, as they are, as those artworks, no, they're the artworks, right? The comics themselves will be a separate product release. Now, Dan mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and maybe some people have missed this, that the comics will probably be one of our first sort of blind box style releases. So we might release the same comic book, but you have a 1 in X chance of getting an ultra rare cover, or a 1 in X chance of an uncommon cover, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's where some of the comic cover art will feature, but it will be part of the comic book itself, as opposed to turning the existing 2D prints into the associated comic book. As to whether the Marvel logo gets added, assuming you're talking about the secret rare Ultraman, I don't know, actually. I really don't know. I know we obviously had to remove it when we dropped it. So yeah, it's a possibility, but I haven't actually heard anything about it, so I don't want people to just run out and speculate and buy it for the sake of it.
All right, and then to piggyback off of your answer there with the blind boxes, will blind boxes be minted? And also to piggyback off of that, if there is an ultra rare, like a chance of 1 in 100 to get an ultra rare, will that ultra rare be minted?
What do you mean by mint? Oh, you mean like have a 1 of 100 ultra rare cover? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Everything has an edition number. So I guess your comic would potentially, like, say we release 1,000 of the same comic and you get 1 of the 100 ultra rares, then yeah, I guess it would come with an edition number too.
And then
I'll find out about that. Just maybe don't quote me on that just yet.
Sure. So maybe another thing to ask, if you don't mind, that if that is the case, and say you sell 10,000 blind boxes with a chance of 100 ultra rares in those 10,000, will you also give notification that all ultra rares will be sold or not? So to say 5,000 or 10,000 are bought, all of the ultra rares are already acquired. Will you tell people so they will not buy the last 5,000?
It's a very good question. I'll have to find out. I guess to be honest, I won't know many of these details until we're closer to releasing the comic books. But yeah, we'll have to find out. No, I mean, if it's randomized edition numbers and a randomized chance of getting an ultra rare or a common or whatever cover, then I don't know if they will. It depends how the randomization works, I guess. Maybe the very last one's still available as an ultra rare or something like that. But yeah, I'll find out. I don't know if we'll have those details until closer to release.
Awesome. Thanks, man. When you buy a blind box, will it automatically have to be opened, or can I keep it unopened to sell it like on a marketplace?
So with the comic books, I just want to clarify here, you're not buying a blind box. You will buy the comic that you want, and you have a 1 in X chance of getting a cover variation. With future brands and licenses, when there's blind box releases, like maybe it's the LOL surprise dolls or something like that, I don't actually know the answer, but we'll find out when we get closer to that. So for comic books, you're not buying a blind box of comic books. You're buying the comic book that you want, and you have a certain chance of getting a variation cover.
Kind of like how the comic book store itself has to buy 100 of the normal variants to get the special variant.
Correct. What's your next one?
Okay, let's see here. Why can't we change our nickname inside the Veve app and also the profile? Is there any way around that, or?
Yeah, so the username, once it's generated, is linked to your wallets. So if everybody could kind of chop and change usernames, all that kind of thing, it just kind of creates a bit of a headache. I think the eventual plan is to be able to enable that. And maybe that's helped once we move to Immutable, just with whatever tech developments are going on. But initially, that's the reason why. It's just easier once you've created your account. We know what wallets that's linked to. It's easier to track, to be able to attribute your collectibles to your account rather than everybody changing usernames every 5 minutes.
Hey, I like that. That's pretty cool. So, second question. Will we be able to release an NFT in the auction if it doesn't sell currently? Right now, it's not letting them.
Release it as in...
I guess cancel the auction.
You can cancel the auctions, can't you? Oh no, you can cancel by now. Once it's up for auction, it's up for auction. Yeah, look, I guess the same answer to a lot of these kind of questions. Like, we're still very early in the app and the capabilities, and we'll continue to build in features that make it more user-friendly for people. I think really the frustration people have is that right now the auction, once you put it up, it's up for 72 hours, even though the vast majority of that action happens in the last 24. So I think the first iteration we'll see will allow you to reduce the time you put something up for auction, and I think that will probably solve a lot of those kind of niggly annoyances anyway.
Okay, that answers are pretty good. So I got 2 more if you got time, or if you want to go to somebody else.
No, go for it, mate.
All right, let's see here. My question is, I know the plan is to take NFTs out of Veve to like OpenSeas and stuff, but could we possibly see us taking OpenSea NFTs back to Veve, where it's really cool and stuff?
Probably not. Our key point of difference is that we provide premium curated content. Now, we never really wanted Veve to just be an open marketplace platform like OpenSea. Now, some of the content that people create on those platforms is incredible, but a lot of it's rubbish. And we don't really want to flood our marketplace with all those kind of things. There's enough marketplaces and platforms that already do that. So, no, our key point of difference has always been to provide premium content. Now, within that, if there are some incredible artists on these platforms, which there are, there's some really amazing 3D artists. Our plan longer term is to be able to incubate some of those through the Artist Alley on Veve, so it gives them a chance to access a more targeted audience, but also potentially a broader audience with broader visibility than what they would get on that kind of marketplace. But it's definitely not the plan to just open a two-way street for people to sell whatever they want on Veve.
Yeah. I guess I was meant to say like maybe taking some art off of OpenSeas and bringing it to my showroom to hang it up there. Yeah.
Look, that could build out with the VeVeVerse for sure. If everything's on the same standard, then it's definitely a possibility. The same way, I guess, you do with Decentraland now. You can take any sort of ERC 721. So, look, it's a possibility, but to begin with, it will definitely be sort of premium branded stuff still.
Okay, that's pretty good. So I got one more question. This is far-fetched, it's way in the future. Will the VeVeVerse ever be like Netflix or Apple? TV, original series, and movies. Could we possibly see a Kung Fu Choppers on Veve, like Netflix and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the direct comparison is sort of the Netflix or Amazon, but yeah, we've talked about once you can expand your showroom, we really want that to be your own customizable digital space, right? And if some of you have explored Decentraland or some of these other metaverses, you can go and watch screenings or viewings of things. You can host panels and events, music concerts, all of that kind of capability is enabled with the metaverse, and we're definitely aiming for those kind of things. Maybe you visit your friend's showroom and you both sit on the virtual couch and watch your moments or collectibles or whatever on the screen. Like, there's all of that capability is definitely enabled within the VeVeVerse and the future plans of it. So, yep, I guess to answer your question, I guess we could definitely see some of that.
That's way in the future.
Yeah, for sure. But we want to be the place.
And so, will Saturday drops stay a thing, or are we going to be ending up going to be keeping Thursday as a default drop day?
I think we're going to continue to experiment. We really have, taken the feedback of the community about when they like to see him, and obviously we're going to look at the data as well. I think we've liked having it midweek, but we saw one that we did on the weekend do fairly well, and some people, don't want to have to step away from work meetings to try to get in on a drop. So, we'll continue to experiment.
Cool. So what type of stuff do you look for on drop days to see if it's better than others? I mean, it seems on Thursdays every time you guys drop out in sell out in less than a minute or so. What else do you look for?
Angry tweets.
I'm glad you said it. It's funny that really is a good way to gauge what's going on. Angry tweets of, I got out of bed for this, blah blah blah, But no, I guess we can see how many people are participating in the drops. The demand for them, what's kind of going, like who's going for what or that kind of thing. But you're right. At the moment, the demand is pretty high for everything. So being able to spread them out on different days or at different times now is more experimenting with, I guess, making that more available to people in different time zones and on different days. If we see that we're getting more engagement on a weekend, for example, because it's opening accessibility to more people, then maybe that becomes a regular feature as well, because we are going to continue to move towards multiple drops per week. So we have to kind of experiment with different days and different time zones to see what's available. But we also want it to be regular enough that okay, Thursday's coming up, there's going to be a drop. Not just like one week it's a Monday, the next one it's a Wednesday, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's more just just pulling the levers and seeing what the results are at the moment.
I mean, the goal is drops every day, right? I mean, that's pie in the sky.
Yeah, I guess. But don't tell Dan that yet, because he might have an aneurysm.
I know. I'd probably give him a heart attack.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, there's so much work that goes into each drop, other than the asset creation and design, which happens months in advance, and it back and forth with the licensors, every part. Then all the bits in the app have to be approved. All the articles get written. All the marketing and promotions get built around them. So, to actually get to a point of consistent, double or triple drops in a week is quite a lot of lead time. But we're definitely getting there. Obviously with Alex and Noah on board now, and Trevor really handling things on the asset side, all the studios we work with. We're getting to that point where even if the licensor knocks something back or takes too long, well, there's something else to take its place for that week, and we can kind of press play on that instead. So all a work in progress, but we're definitely working towards that goal.
Awesome. Sorry again. With Saturday being Ultraman Day, could we have a possibility of seeing Ito finally being released?
Is it this Saturday or next Saturday?
I believe it's this Saturday, the 17th.
I'm going to say no, just so that no one gets their hopes up. No, I don't think so. I think there's too much going on with Comic-Con to be able to squeeze another one in.
All right, so another one drop week.
We have Ecto 1.
Oh yeah, Ecto 1 drops Saturday, yeah.
People were asking that in Discord earlier, and I told them that they spelled Ecto wrong.
Sweet. Hey guys, I'm just going to run to the bathroom, but if anyone's got questions for Alex and Noah while they're here, how about it?
So Alex, is there going to be one drop this week or this weekend, or can we have a chance of two?
There is going to be one.
To be eligible for the Comic-Con drops, do I have to be watching the Comic-Con for an X amount of hours, or is it just like everyone will be eligible for the drops?
No,
everybody is eligible.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll release info next week about what's coming, what's dropping, what days to expect them, that kind of thing, and then it will run like an ordinary sort of drop.
Sweet. That's all I had then. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Do you know if the teams nailed down the logistics of the paired physical and digital drops?
Logistics being how we're going to mail them out, that kind of thing, or how the drop's going to take place?
Both.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think I saw the boxes for them the other day, so I guess they're all sort of production ready and ready to go out. From what I'm pretty sure the drop will take place exactly how they do now. It's just, that first 100 or 200 people, depending on the edition, will get super lucky, and then we have your contact details or your email linked to your username. So I guess we'll then contact those users who are lucky enough to secure one to get those details to send out the physical edition.
And just to reiterate, last time y'all said that no editions will be held back, correct?
Yeah, they're all available. Yeah, there's only 100 of each, 100 silver, 100 gold, so they'll all be available as far as I'm aware. It's not like this isn't like a normal drop where we'll hold 40 of them or whatever.
So my first question is with the new showrooms, which look awesome, will we be forced to use that, or will we have the original showroom as an option? Because I've been spending hours building my different showrooms, the current showroom. So what will happen with that?
That is a very good question. Now, I'm not going to confirm this either way because I don't know if it's the case. But we've discussed that if you have a current showroom, before we roll out the new one, then you have the choice if you want to keep that, and then you can generate a new showroom, which would be showroom version 2. If that is the case, it means that anyone in Veve now would be the only people actually, that would ever have like the retro showroom, if you want to call it that. So I think that's the way we'll go, but it depends on the actual implementation of that. If that's not the way we go, the version 2 of the showroom has actually been built to the same specifications as version 1, same size, same sort of layout. So your current showroom would actually just kind of transfer straight across into the new one. So you wouldn't really need to adjust much to adapt to the new one.
A couple of questions about tokenomics, if you don't mind. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, if I spend $1 on a gem, $1's worth of OMI would be burnt from the reserve wallet when I buy an NFT. And 7% of that dollar is then earmarked to buy back tokens from the circulating supply. Is that essentially correct?
More or less, yeah. It's 7% of or 10% of revenue, right? So that's whatever the revenue is minus App Store fees, minus royalties, whatever else comes out of that.
And then additionally, 2.5% from the marketplace is also earmarked for buybacks. So, I mean, obviously the marketplace can make up a large amount, but it still seems a little short. You're not going to have enough money to keep the reserve wallet topped up. Everyone's getting very excited about the burns, but of course it doesn't affect the circulating supply. So how's Ecomi planning on raising enough money to replace the burnt reserve wallet?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a balance, right? As the token price goes up, the burn slows down, right? So with 300 billion in that reserve or whatever's in there now, 292, 293, that burn will slow down as more people come into the app and as more people are using it, right? That 2.5% in the market, once you transact in OMI, will start to burn straight from circulating supply if you're transacting in OMI, as opposed to pulling from the reserve as well. But I don't know if that 2.5% goes to buybacks just yet. Now, this is just the current model, right, and the first model. As the user base expands and things grow and the utility of the token grows, we will tweak things as necessary to top up that reserve. But, like, to be honest, with 292 billion tokens in there, plus the token price going up, burns slowing down, all of the kind of factors that will feed into that thing, I don't think we're going to run out anytime soon. So it's not really that crucial a thing to assess just yet.
So obviously, in that case, investors in the OMI token, speculators or investors, whatever you like to call us, we shouldn't be getting too obsessed with the burn rate of the reserve wallet. We should be more focused on the buybacks, which brings me to my next question, which is, from my calculations, and they're very basic calculations, you guys should have, if you have been taking the 2.5%, the 7% from the NFTs, you should have a bank account with somewhere in the region of $30 million, which is earmarked for buybacks. Is that backdated, or are you only starting the buybacks now, and that 30 million is not going to be used for buybacks in the future?
Your calculations are definitely off, because we certainly do not have $30 million for buybacks. That would imply that we've made 300 million or more, which we have not. So that I don't know where that quite comes from. Is that accurate? 30 million?
Sorry, I meant 7% of 30 million.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the buybacks only started last month. No, I don't think they retroactively go back. There's a certain budget depending on whenever they kick them off, and whatever other considerations. But I'll get Dan on next week to chat a bit more about that, because I don't want to speak out of turn. So yeah, you're right in saying that the buybacks are more of a focal point than the burns coming from the reserve. Obviously, that is deflating the total token supply over time. But the buybacks are what are pulling it. That's what's pulling the circulating supply and deflating that. So that's definitely the focal point. But let me get Dan on next week to chat about buybacks a bit more.
Can I just follow up on that very quickly? Because you've got an updated tokenomics paper now, which I think was released a week or so ago. But the 7% buyback figure has been a sort of pledge from earlier Medium articles. So are you saying that because the legals weren't in place, that 7% is no longer eligible to be used for buybacks? Because that seems a little disappointing.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying that I don't have the finer details, so I don't want to speak out of turn about it.
All right.
Yeah. As we go. Yep.
One more really small one. I don't know if you're able to answer this one or allowed to answer this one, but I've noticed an increase in volume especially sort of last week, not this week, but last week. And I was wondering if that was related to buybacks and if they're ongoing and they just haven't been announced yet, if you're just announcing retrospectively a month later.
They are ongoing. You mean just general volume on the exchanges?
Yeah, I thought not so much this week, but a week last week the volume looked a little higher, and it wasn't related to any news. I was wondering if that was buyback related.
Yeah, I don't know if it's buyback related. To be honest, I don't think so. That really the last couple of weeks, there's been a hell of a lot more interest in our project and in Omi. I mean, I've seen Omi talked about in quite a number of YouTuber videos now that have substantial followings. Obviously, we've been rolling out announcements left, right, and center, and I think that every one of those license announcements is giving people more confidence in the project or validating what we're doing more. And then I think if you're forward-looking enough, you realize that each one of those announcements accesses a new fan base, which onboards new customers, and then once we enable Omi to NFT transactions, we literally have, potentially 500,000 or 1 million users that we can directly market that token to as well. So I think the volume and the renewed interest in the project is probably coming more from that than it is from buybacks.
Yeah, well, great to see anyway. Anyway, thank you very much, Reese. Cheers.
No worries, man.
Question. Actually, I got 2 questions and then a request. So I guess my first question is, I'm really big into anime and video games, things of that nature. And so I'm kind of wondering, have y'all been in talks with anime studios or creators, things like that? And is that something we'll see in the near future or late future?
Yep, definitely. Anime and animation are one of our product verticals. So it's definitely on the cards. We obviously, we've rolled out some of our big licenses. We're obviously holding quite a lot more close to our chest at the moment. But one of the goals is to really be able to regionalize some of that IP and that content, right? And obviously anime is big all around the world, but I think it's fair to say that it's concentrated, in Asia, Japan, Korea, that kind of thing. So we are definitely looking to bring on licenses that are more specific to a vertical and more specific to a region. So yeah, we'll see anime on the platform at some point.
Sweet, awesome. Don't forget to pay respects to the big 3. And then my second question is, I'm on the app a lot, and sometimes I hear a lot of people asking hey, who has such and such, such and such. Is there a way, or is there an idea? I guess is there anything being worked on to where maybe if I know I'm looking for Superman, 100 and whatever, and if someone puts it on the market, I can get a notification or something like that, hey, this thing you've been looking for is finally on the market. Is there anything like that being worked on?
Yeah. It's not something that's probably going to roll out in the next couple of months. But we're definitely trying to build in ways that make it easier for you to find the collections and the sets that you want. We've also talked about a feature, and I think this is something you would have to opt into or out of as a user, where eventually when you can actually contact other collectors in the app, you might be able to accept offers for your collectibles, right? So that would mean that people need to be able to see what you have, whether that's you're exploring someone's showroom and you might be able to tap their collectible and it will give you the information, like Superman number 192 or whatever. And then you might be able to make an offer to them at that point. So yeah, it's definitely, all of those things are definitely in the works for further down the development pipeline for sure. But we definitely want to build that in.
I noticed on the Toy Tokyo Instagram, actually, the VeVe official Instagram account, it's been liking a lot of the kind of banned Presto figures, specifically the Dragon Ball Z ones. So I don't know, like when Goku.
Oh, look, Kay's coming with the conspiracy theories today. I love it. It's like a whole vertical of this, man.
You gotta watch them, guys. Noah, you've been liking stuff with Veve on the Veve profile?
That was not me. I'm not sure it was. I'm sure we follow those accounts, though. I mean, because the licensors we work with and stuff.
Yeah. Also, there's like 5 other accounts that say like variations on VV Collectibles, VV, 2 underscores official and all that stuff. Bunch of impersonators. The only one is the official one, and if we happen to like Dragon Ball Z, it was because one of us happened to be scrolling through the feed thinking it was our own, and accidentally like.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball Z is awesome. So, can't blame you for that one, gents.
So last week you talked a little bit about licensing, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more specifically about Back to the Future and how licensing would work with that. Would other companies be able to create hoverboards, Marty boards, for example? I'm asking for them in particular.
Well, no one has done it yet. And considering how long Back to the Future's been out, and no company has been successful before us, I mean, yeah, technically, if they got licensing sign-off from, with the Back to the Future license and from Mattel to be able to produce the product with that licensing approval, then sure, companies could do it, or a physical toy company or whatever. In the digital space, not going to happen. We've been working with these licensors for years to get to this point. So if you're referring more specifically to can someone else create that same NFT, no, I don't think so. But yeah, just to reiterate sort of what we've touched on already, when it comes to licensing and those kind of things, like it's so incredibly layered that any sort of branding or company products like that, especially if it's across 2 different brands, well then yeah, you need approval from all parties involved to be able to create that, because you're using their IP in some capacity.
That's helpful. So it's very unlikely that someone's going to be coming out with a Marty board with a Mattel logo on it in the near future.
Are you referring to a physical product or digital, or just in general?
Digital. Oh, yeah, digital.
No, not in digital. At this point, with all the licenses we have on board and literally continually signing more on and more artists and that kind of thing, it would work against these licensors to then offer that same IP for the same sort of product. They'd just be diluting their potential market share and the impact that product has. So no, I don't see that happening anywhere else.
Great. Buying a few more Marty boards as we speak. Appreciate it.
No worries, mate.
I've seen this comparison a lot, kind of like, maybe not saying the same growth will be there, but kind of investing in VeVe and even the Ecomi token now is kind of similar to one saying, you invested in Amazon when they only sold books, or maybe you invested in Netflix when they only had DVDs shipping to your house. Do you kind of see that maybe turning out for VeVe? Again, maybe not in the sense it has the same massive growth, but maybe in 5 years' time, like this first product is almost unrecognizable to what it is then.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'll preface this by saying this is in no way financial advice. This is all my personal opinion. But yeah, absolutely. Obviously Amazon has expanded into a whole scope of products, but I mean, fundamentally, that's kind of what we're doing just solely in the digital space, right? We've started with these premium models, which will have their own iterations, animations, that kind of thing. Now we're rolling out comic books as a digital product. We've rolled out digital art already. There are so many things that can be either sold as a digital product, or so many items that never could have been a collectible item before that can now be digitized and sold as an NFT. Like Alcard brought up the example of the guy that created the original code for the internet, right? And famously never really made any money off it because it was a protocol. But he just bundled that up as an NFT and sold that, a few weeks ago for $5 million or something like that. So the digitization of everything is taking place. and you need a marketplace and an experience for people to be able to access that. And I firmly believe that we are that place. So yeah, I think in 5 years' time, I think even in 6 months' time, the Veve you know and see now will be very different. But in 5 years' time, the offerings, the capabilities, and that will develop alongside the technology, whether it's your phone or wearables or that kind of thing, so that you're not just buying something, you're buying something that comes with its own experience or can be enhanced by that technology. So yeah, I see that comparison all the time, and it gets me really excited, frankly.
Same. Again, you guys are really killing it. To think about how far it's come just in these last 6 months, to think we're going to be 6 months further, it's kind of even hard to get a grasp on what that could be. My last question here, and then I will hop off and hopefully let someone else come on again. Thanks for your time. I know you've been on with us for a while here. Obviously, I see your guys' intention to make collectibles that have already been released, have upgrades to make them more interactive. Is that something that we should expect with a lot of the collectibles that have already been released, or should we more so look forward to the new collectibles that will come out and be more interactive?
I think look more to the new collectibles. Some of them will be upgraded. We upgraded the Ritmo, and we're available. We may go back and retroactively upgrade some. But I think fundamentally, the offering of interactive or animated collectibles, that they'll come out as that type of collectible from day one.
Like a two-layer question. Now, I know that with the VeVeVerse, it's going to be multifaceted. I'm assuming that, because me and my homies talk a lot about the thing that certain things lack, or even gamification, is the customization of your own character and avatar. Now, I'm assuming that we'll be able to fully customize our avatar when it gets to that point.
Yes, yeah. Now you'll be able to customize these things, whether it's in the first stage of the VeVeVerse or you can do it in the app before it or after it. I don't have the timeline on that, but the intention is definitely that maybe you can get a gold cape for Superman or things like that. All of those items have their own rarity as well, and then you can obviously bundle them into the same collectible. The best example is probably with cars, right? For example, we've got General Motors as a license, so maybe when those roll out, the first iteration is a certain car, but then eventually you can change the rims or change the paint job or something like that, right? And there might be a ultra rare paint job that you can give it, or an ultra rare rim or a common rim. So you create, it really creates that market for the parts or for the add-ons as well as the collectibles. Yep.
Right. Oh, now that'll be crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then, so you kind of already answered my question. So I was thinking too, because it can even get down to a further layer in regards to collectibles. So not only a statue of some sort, but also you could get an ultra rare, I don't know, Batman utility belt that comes for the avatar, or a Thor's hammer you can walk around with, or a secret rare Mark V Iron Man suit. So things like that are kind of being thought of in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's why we keep reiterating that, what we're seeing now is the very early versions of what's available, because eventually, the more interaction, the more customization, really the more ways we can give you as a user to express yourself or express your fandom, the more things we're going to try and build in that direction. So, yep, all definitely coming.
Awesome. That is absolutely amazing, because that's going to blow stuff out the water, because now we can think about not only collectibles as in what you'll have in your virtual mansion, but what collectible you will have on as well, which is even a deeper layer. That's kind of crazy. So
okay, thank you. Right now it seems like the opinion is to increase the number of Veve users more than anything else. Not so much Ecomi holders, because more users, more market movements, more burn, and at the end of the day, all of us Omi homies from the biggest to the smallest want the burn wallet to be the biggest wallet. So my question is, with users being the focus and Comic-Con, as you said, being a bit of a launch party, how many new Veve users are you prepared to onboard, and how far have you been able to stress test the platform? If we get 1 million, 10 million, let's say 100 million Veve users here in the upcoming weeks, at what point would you be worried about overwhelming the app?
I think 100 million might push the limits a little bit there. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have the specifics, but the way the app is running now and the way that it's been re-engineered, we could easily handle into the millions without really blinking an eye. So yeah, I guess that's probably the shortest way to answer that question. We also have a couple of our devs now just kind of work permanently on scaling the app. So whenever these kind of influx events happen, we obviously prepare for them and then can prepare past that point as well. So yeah, I don't think we're at all concerned about the numbers. Now, as to how many people we might onboard from this, I guess it's hard to say without knowing how many people are going to attend. You know, for me personally, I don't know what the I know they normally say there's about 500,000 people that walk through the doors of the physical event. Maybe that's more because it opens access to anyone to be able to enjoy Comic-Con from home. But by the same token, maybe it's less because people really want that physical experience. So we'll have to wait and see just how many people we can put Veve in front of and how many people show up for the event. But I think that the route we have chosen gives us the best possible chance to kind of access the largest audience there. So I think that little tidbit will make more sense when the information comes out.
The capture will be in multiple languages, but does that apply to the whole app? And if not, like when will we be able to view the whole app in, say, Mandarin?
Yeah, so the capture, you can toggle the language. So I think the default will be English, and then you can switch it in the capture. The entire app, Dan mentioned a week or two ago that is in the works to start adding to all the language files so that we can enable it in the top 10 or 20 language groups around the world. I don't have a timeline on it just yet, but it's definitely in the works.
And last would just be a feedback from myself. It would be great if you could, when you click on your NFT, see what you paid for it when you bought it, like before, because like right now you have to search through all your transactions and guess which NFT of the same name matches up, and it's definitely a lot harder than it used to be. Last question, and I'll hop off, let somebody else get here. What date do you have circled on your calendar as a date that you feel things will be operating at full speed, as in dropping the optimal number of drops each week and like that well-oiled machine status? What date you got circled? Thank you.
Yeah, so just on the price feed, yeah, that was a feature. I think we're going to re-enable it until we move to Immutable, and then once we kind of get that dev work out of the way, we'll open up a whole lot of other appraisal methods and give you a lot more information about sort of what you paid, the average price, what it's worth, that kind of stuff. So it's definitely in the works. The date to have things like, yep, this is the day, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it's all hands on deck all the time still at the moment while we get these things running. I think there will always be an element of that. We'll always be building in new features and there will always be things come up that we kind of have to design around. But I think personally, I feel like we've kind of gotten through most of them at this end of the game. Like, 6 months in, we've had such an incredible testing period. Instead of testing with 5,000 or 10,000 users, we tested with 300,000. And that gives you so much more room to test the edge cases, all the things that we may not have found until now. We kind of found within the first 2 weeks. So yeah, I don't particularly have a target date or a moment where I think, yep, now we're in the swing of things. It's kind of a progressive story there. I don't know, Alex or Noah, do you have any feelings on that?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, it's going to be a progressive thing, and there's always going to be like new capabilities, and as we start to roll out VeVeVerse and things like that. I mean, it's going to be ever evolving, the product and the features, and when licensors come on board. So yeah, there's no date circled as in like by X date we're going to be all systems go, because we've been all systems go. And I can't speak for Reese and the rest of the devs and everybody else. I know I'm fairly new, but you can tell that these guys have been putting on a lot of work to this thing, and so I'd imagine that it's going to continue to stay at that clip for the time, foreseeable future.
Certainly feels that way.
About it's probably not that big of a deal to most people, but Batman Series 5. I was wondering if you could add this to your list. The naming kind of bothers me. bit of my OCD probably, but I noticed that the artist names were not included in that edition, and I'm not sure what how an NFT or how your naming system works, if it could be changed. But basically, Greg Capullo, who did the Batman Who Laughs, and Mike Magnolia, who did the meme Batman, Dad Bod. I think they deserve some recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I was just to bring you up to speed. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's definitely something we did with the earlier drops, with the artist name being highlighted. The reason it's not there now is because the licensor has requested it. They're creating their own sort of stance around what their artists can and can't do, what's going to be attached to this or that. And you may have seen some articles kicking around. Both DC and Marvel have kind of started to put in their own policies as to what their artists can and can't use their IP for. So yeah, anything you see like that, it's not us trying to not give people recognition. It's usually it's out of our control on that front.
Okay, copy that. That makes sense. Thank you for fielding that question.
An hour ago, you were talking about wearable technology and AR glasses. Did I hear you say that Veve's planning to release the first commercial AR glasses, or did I misunderstand that?
You misunderstood that.
Okay.
I would love to say that we are. No, I said that I think Apple will come out with the first consumer-friendly sort of thing. Yeah, for us, we're leveraging the hardware that other people are building to create our experiences. I don't think we're at a point yet where we could, justify however much time and money has to go into developing AR wearables.
Sure. Yep. About Comic-Con, I heard you mention earlier that you're planning on having releases or drops on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Do you think we'll get some sort of a schedule ahead of time, knowing what the collectibles are for each day? So will I be able to plan, okay, I can only afford, 1 or 2 drops or whatever. I really want the drop that's on Saturday. Or will it be, Friday, here's what's released Friday, Saturday, here's what's released Saturday, Sunday, here's what's released Sunday?
No, we'll release the usual drop articles and info.
Great.
Alex, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, there will be a schedule. You'll see over the course of the week, we'll release more and more info with more IP and drop timing for the weekend, and then we'll reiterate the full schedule towards the end of the week. But yeah, as we go, you'll be able to kind of plan out what you're going to go for.
I have seen a few questions about the Labbits as to why they're FE instead of FA, so first edition instead of first appearance. Now, Dan made the distinction last week that there is a distinction between the collectibles world and the art world, and artist drops tend to be first edition instead of first appearance. So I think that's the distinction there, and why the Labbits are all first edition.
And the second question was that Veve is leaning in more of a like contemporary art kind of style for Artist Alley, which I am super fan of, and it kind of has some controversial kind of tones, which again is just fab. But do you think that Veve will maybe lean into more traditional styles at some point? And I'm not saying that these are like actual examples that you guys would maybe have, but like a Monet kind of style, or a Picasso, or like a Dali, sort of maybe like a 2D sort of situation, more like the Iron Man 2D artworks, maybe something like that, but more traditional stuff.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question. I think at the moment, obviously, the focus, we're sort of leaning towards street artists and more contemporary stuff. When it comes to the more traditional things, I guess it really comes down to who owns that IP or who owns the rights over that. Can we get access to it? Do the traditional artists or fans of traditional art feel like something is taken away from that if we digitize it? Like maybe it stays in that sort of realm for a reason. Obviously, our goal is to kind of bring on as much content as we can from those premium sources, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that's the direction we'll go. I'll put it to Dan next time we're on one of these and see his opinion on it too. Alex, do you have any opinion on that? Is that something you'd like to see or think we'd head towards?
I mean, I have an opinion. I've not been involved in those discussions at all, but yeah, I would love to see us expand into all styles of art, and to be able to. Could you imagine if we were to offer, NFTs of the Mona Lisa, for instance, or Starry Night?
That would be freaking
Mona Lisa.
insane, dude. Insane.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. I mean, I would love that. I think it would just, raise the game, and I think for people appreciators of art in general, I think that would be an amazing, area for us to expand into. But who knows? I know, we're really coming at it as from a collectible standpoint first, like kind of as Reese mentioned, pop art, street art, digital, collectibles, and more of that kind of comic and art, street art realm. But yeah, I would love to see as we continue to expand the VeVeVerse. We're going to have to be the to borrow the phrase from someone earlier who said we're going to be the Netflix of NFTs. Netflix has something for everybody, so I would hope that we do too at some point.
Yeah, just on that, the famous Mr. Al Khan has actually replaced our Netflix of NFTs with we're going to be the Walmart of NFTs because we're going to offer such a diverse range of products. So, yeah, who knows? I would love to see us move in all directions. I think that it's probably a bit of an easier sell to the more modern artists or street artists and that kind of thing at the moment, just until people become more comfortable with the digitization of their assets and how they can access them. So, it's probably a bit of a progressive journey to get to the more traditional side.
Definitely. I definitely feel like the street artists and pop artists are much more adaptable and much more willing to sort of shift to new mediums and stuff like that. So I can definitely see that why that would be, the market that you guys would want to be targeting.
I know I said the last question, but I just thought of this. And whose decision was it to release only 500 bubbles? Because it's the second set, and progressively you guys...
When Bubbles was released, she was on the market for a month. Like there was nothing, there wasn't enough users there to justify,
But the set that had Blossom, and which were significantly more editions. It's super smart, but was that intention?
Well, Blossom, they came out first, right? So maybe they released more, realized, they sat on, for sale for too long. We'll do less with Bubbles, which still sat for sale for a while, right? And in those early releases, we were really testing the system, right? Like what pricing works, what numbers worked, is this attractive as a value proposition? So they really chop and change. Like the very first drop we did for Batman Series 1, the Todd McFarlane Batman was common and cost more than the ultra rare, was it Riso that dropped Series 1? And that was based on the artist that did it, which is Todd McFarlane. But we were really, the original intention, like the pricing would have been all over the place depending on who made it, where it came from, the brand, the rarity, all those things. But in the end, it was too complicated. We really had to simplify things. So those early numbers, love them or hate them, they were part of the early journey of the platform. So that's just how it is.
So that's the video, my friends. If you've made it this far, I'm assuming you're heavily invested in Veve and Ecomi. But for real, kudos to you if you made it this far, because that means you are a glutton for information and you really want to learn about Veve and Ecomi. So if you've learned something and was entertained feel free to leave a like for your bromie to help me in the YouTube algorithms. Yes, Ecomi has a bright future, and I'm going to leave it at that because the video is long enough. And with all that said, I'm not a financial advisor. I am sharing my opinions here and sharing information as I come by it. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. And good luck on the Ecto 1 drop if you are participating. Peace out and hodl strong, my friends. Later.